Hello, childhood explorers. Today we're going to explore the four chords of pop music. These four chords are the basic chords that are played in thousands and thousands of songs from the early 1950s and even earlier to today. There's certainly more chords in songs, and certainly songs with much different chords in them. However, if we look at these four chords and learn to play them, we can expand our musical library immensely and learn to play some of our favorite pieces. Those four chords are a 1 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord, and a 6 minor chord. What does all that mean? Well, that's what we're going to explore today, and we're going to learn how then to play them, both in a beginner's fashion and in an advanced fashion for some of our more advanced students. So let's jump in, shall we? When we talk about chords, the first thing we have to talk about is scales or keys. Today we're going to talk mostly about the key of G. In the key of G, you'll notice here that I've laid out the musical alphabet. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Why F sharp? That's the discussion for another time. In this video, we're just going to focus on physically getting to the instrument. So in the key of G, we have 7 letters, starting on G and going through the musical alphabet. If you haven't gone through the musical alphabet or talked about this conversation before, in the musical alphabet there are 7 letters, and when you get to the 7th letter, you just start all over again, whatever that 7th letter may be. You can start on A, you can start on C, but no matter what, when you get to G, you must always restart at A. In this key, you'll notice there are Roman numerals. Okay, if you're not familiar with Roman numerals, you should be. Okay, now in music, we use capital Roman numerals for major keys. We use lowercase, which don't really exist. These aren't really Roman numerals, but in the case of music, they define minor chords. So large ones for major chords, small ones for minor chords. What we're going to focus on today are 4 chords from this key. And the 4 chords that we need again are the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6th chord. So this diagram shows us that the 1 chord is G, the 4 chord is C, G, A, B, C, the 5 chord is D, G, A, B, C, D, and the 6th chord is E minor. And so we've traveled, when we count those chords, we travel from the number 1, and we just count forward how many places we need to go. In music, when you count, you must count from the one you're leaving from, not from the next one as you would in the number line. That can be a bit confusing for students. So again, we're looking at these 4 chords, G, C, D, and E minor. These 4 chords give us the potential to play 1,000 different songs. I'm going to share with you now the Google Drive for this course. And in the Google Drive, there are 2 folders. Easy chords for the beginner student and the early intermediate student, and then full chords for the intermediate and more advanced students. This gives us all a chance to kind of play these songs somewhere based on our skill level. If you're in our curriculum, I would recommend anybody, before tunes you can play 1, probably play the easy chords, and anyone after the tunes you can play 1 book, play the full chords. So we're going to jump into the easy chords first. For those of you who are more advanced, you can feel free to skip ahead until I open up the full chords diagram. So I drew a little chord chart in here for all these chords. What you're looking at here is just a partial version of your neck. So I've only put the chord strings in that are needed. All right, so this has 3 strings, 3 lines going vertically, okay, in this diagram. In this diagram, you have the 1st string, the 2nd string, and the 3rd string. Notes that are on top that have circles on them mean you play those strings open, And then you can count the fret to where you'd put the dot. So first fret, second fret, third fret. The third finger plays on the third fret. The number on the bottom tells you which finger to use, right? And so that chord would be played like this. Now, on the right hand, there are a number of ways to play it. You can just take your thumb and kind of push down. You can take your index, middle, and ring fingers and strike them all together at the same time. You could use your middle finger and swipe down and over strum. On a classical guitar, I highly recommend not using a pick because it'll scratch the top up. But if you have an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar at home, you can most definitely do the same thing with a pick and just push down with only those 3 strings for the G chord. So the first step in this class is to memorize that G chord. The next chord that we're going to look at is the 4 chord. And if you remember, the 4 chord in this key was the C chord. The easy version of the C chord has the same diagram. 3 strings going up and down. That's strings 1, 2, and 3. The open first C, or string 2 fret 1 on the second string, and the open third string, which is G. Same thing, you have 3 options. Push your thumb down to play a C chord. Use your middle finger and flick out, or use I, M, and A and free stroke in. Any which way is fine. So that's our 4 chord. Remember, G, A, B, C is our 4 chord. Now on to our 5 chord, which is D. This is probably the most complicated one. It'll take the most time for you to get figured out. I like to call this the Mickey Mouse chord. Being a huge Disney fan, I see a hidden Mickey. So the first finger is going to go to the 3rd string, 2nd fret. That's an A for those of you who know. The 3rd finger goes to D on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And the 2nd finger goes to F sharp on the 1st string, 2nd fret. Let me recap that. 1st finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger, 2nd string, 3rd fret. And 2nd finger, 1st string, 2nd fret. That's an A with your 1st finger, a D with your 3rd finger, and an F sharp with your 1st finger. Now, in this chord, you could actually push down from the 4th string if you wanted to. That's what the full chord is. The 3rd string is just fine too. You can play 3, 2, 1. Works just as well. Use your middle finger to flick out, or your thumb to push down, or I, M, A free stroke. Any which way is appropriate. Whichever feels more comfortable for you. So you want to memorize this chord. This one will be the one that takes the most time. So put a lot of effort into it. Lastly, our 6th minor chord. The 6th chord in the scale will always be minor. And in this one, it's actually a very easy chord because there are no frets. This is all just an open string chord. So you can either push down with your thumb, flick out with your middle finger, or use I, M, and A free stroke. Again, whichever way you feel more comfortable. They're all appropriate. So those are the 4 chords that we're going to use in the easy version. For those of you who are watching and need to stay in that easy version, you can skip ahead to my next section where I'll talk a little bit about putting the things together. This is more of a discussion for my advanced students. So we're going to look at the bigger forms of the chords now. The first chord that we're going to look at is that 1 chord. In this case, we're in the key of G, so the 1 chord is G. This is a tough chord. It stretches the entire length of the guitar. So your 2nd finger is going to go to the low G on the 6th string, 3rd fret. Your 1st finger to B, and your pinky to the high G. And you take your thumb and you swipe down. Now, I should recap in this part of the video that what you're looking at is your guitar just like this. So to the left, the first vertical line is the 6th string, and each vertical line going down is a different string. The horizontal lines represent frets. So this would be the 6th string, 1st fret, 6th string, 2nd fret, 6th string, 3rd fret. Underneath the number tells us which finger to use on said fret. So we're going to use our 2nd finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret, our 1st finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret. The 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings are open. Notice the zeros at the top of this grid. And our pinky will play the G on the 1st string, 3rd fret. And that creates a G chord. Now, in order for you to be successful at this level of the course, you're going to have these chords memorized. So that way you can change between them very quickly as I start to discuss some of the songs that we'll talk about in class. The next chord that we're going to talk about is the 4th chord, which is the C chord. The C chord, again, has an X on it. This is new. The X tells us not to play that string. So if we're looking at this grid, again, that's our guitar like this. We count string 5, 1, fret 2, fret 3, 3rd finger on the 5th string, 3rd fret, which is C. The 2nd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, which is E. The 3rd string is open, and the 1st finger to the 2nd string, 1st fret, which is C, and the 1st string open. Then again, we can take our thumb, we just push down, and we have a C chord. So we want to memorize that one as well. Now on to the 5 chord. If you didn't watch the easy chord part of the video, this D chord I like to call the Mickey Mouse chord because it looks like a little triangle, like a Mickey Mouse head. So notice that the 6th and the 5th strings are not played in this chord. The 4th string is open. The 1st finger will go to the 3rd string, 2nd fret. The 3rd finger to the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And the 2nd finger to the 1st string, 2nd fret. That's a D chord. Again, A, D, F sharp. Take your thumb and swipe down 4, 3, 2, 1. So, again, memorize that chord. And lastly, our 6th chord, which is our minor chord. This is an E minor chord, a fairly easy one to play. The 6th string, the 3rd string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string are all open. So we only need to place our 1st finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, which is B, and our 2nd finger, which is on the 4th string, 2nd fret, which is E. Again, the 5th string, 2nd fret, which is B, and the 4th string, 2nd fret, which is E. And push. Those are our 4 chords: G, D, C, E minor. I went out of order there. Try it again. So 1 is G, C is 4, D is 5, 6 is E minor. All right. So one of the tricks that I recommend at this point, once you have your chords memorized, is you need to learn how to change back and forth between them. And this is true for either version, the easy version or the full versions. So this little exercise will help you be able to get between them quickly. What you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 chords. In this case, we'll choose G and C because of the biggest changes. And I'm going to play 4 G chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. Then 4 C chords. Then rest, 2, 3, 4, and back to G. And then 1, 2, 3 on my rests, and 4 strums. Rest, 2, 3. And what you do is you just keep eliminating a rest. That gives your brain a chance to get rid of all the wasted stuttering it's going to do when it's transferring between these chords. And the goal then is to get down to the point where there's no rests in between them. So it's always 4 strums. Then we start with 4 rests, 4 strums, 4 rests. 4 strums, 3 rests, 4 strums, 3 rests, 4 strums, 2 rests, so forth and so on. So in the end, it should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, where you can get back and forth with no stuttering between those chords. For the simple versions of the chords, you can do the same thing. We're just playing them in the smaller version. It would just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, but I forgot the rest, didn't I? So I'll try again. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 2, 3, 4. Notice during the rest, I'm changing and getting ready for the next chord. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3. And then you would practice that between all the different chord combinations, right? I would highly recommend that when you practice them, you do them in 1 to 4, 4 to 5, and 5 to 6. That's G to C, C to D, and D to E. And lastly, E back to G, because it'll reset there. Okay, this will help you get those chord changes down and understand what you're going to need to do. So that chord changing exercise is the last piece of information I think you need to be successful in preparing for this class. Print out those diagrams. Understand what those chord shapes look like. Practice them, and then you'll be ready for our Child Bloom our Child Bloom Explorers class on the 4 chords of pop. I hope this has been an informative video for you, and I can't wait to explore more about the guitar with you.